I mean, your Minister D Brown here. And I mean, say accurate. You have to be a eagle in life, don't it? Accurate. You have to be a...
All right, well, welcome to our Women's World discussion. Yes, we know today is International Men's Day, but we're going into some conversations about women this morning, and we're looking at discussing hurt. You know, letting go of the hurt is exactly what we're focusing on. So sometimes we continue to hold on to grief, anxiety, pain, and resentment from the past without fully working through each situation. All of these experiences, patterns, and narratives accumulate inside the heart, making it even more difficult to let go, you know, to just let things go. But why? So let's welcome Kenisha Mitchell, CEO of Face Impressions Modeling Agency, and Tricia Nibbs, blogger and international marketing professional, to help us understand. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you both ladies here on set. So we're heading right into it, letting go of hurt. But before we even consider talking about the letting go part, and I'll start with you. Tricia, what is hurt? How can you define hurt for you?
Hurt, in my view, is emotional distress and oftentimes physical distress. So it's an emotional and physical state.
Right.
Same for me. Hurt is considered notably physical and emotional distress. Sometimes, you know, it's hard for us to, if we don't let go, this will be a continuous hurt to us, to ourselves.
Do you think that people hurt themselves, or can people pretty much be the only people? In essence, can we hurt ourselves, or do other people hurt us, or both ways? How do you look at it?
It happens both ways, because if you continue to hold on to hurt, deeply you're affecting yourself, and if you don't express yourself to the other person, they might not know that they're hurting you. So it varies.
On that note, that sounds like communication. Those are some of the things that, you know, we talk about in relationships at any level, whether with your family members, at work, an intimate relationship, that kind of thing. But for me, Tricia, if you can just explain what it means to let go of what is so painful and the distress that you made reference to.
So to let go of the pain and the distress, it's actually acknowledging that you're hurt. That's the first step. You have to recognize that, well, I'm hurting and there's something to let go of. And forgiveness, people often think that it's a destination, but it's actually the beginning of the journey. Because first you acknowledge that, yes, I'm hurting, but then there's another step to where you say, all right, I've forgiven this person. How can I then forgive myself? What do I then do to heal properly? Because a lot of us slap on a Band-Aid on it and say, oh, I'm fine. We're still talking. We're still communicating. I still follow you on Instagram.
Right.
So we're good. We're fine. When deep down inside, we end up with this baggage. So this is something that we're walking with. Well, this happened to me. It ain't never going to happen again. Now, the Bible said that you shouldn't let the root of bitterness, you shouldn't let bitterness take root in your heart. Hurt will graduate into bitterness. That's the place where you become resentful, and even you may find people who they harbor such a level of distrust in others, and even themselves, they don't necessarily trust their own decisions. So to let it go is to acknowledge, forgive, and work on it to properly heal from it.
So what are your thoughts along that line? I mean, it sounds really good what you just said, but
yes,
how easy is it for someone to really let go of pain? And I'm sure, and hurt. And are there levels to it? You know, like how easy is it for someone to let go?
Firstly, you have to know who you are as a person. Most persons forgive, but they don't forget what they have been through. You know, I will forgive and forget. Right? But oftentimes we tend to not look on that part. You know, we have all the other issues to deal with, you know, emotional distress, physical distress, as we mentioned earlier. So, you know, it's not that easy. It's not that easy for you to actually get up and forgive and to know that you're hurt towards the other person.
So how do we actually start that process? Let us just be honest. If you have someone who has suffered, let's just say, rape or molestation, or someone who has lost a very close family member, right? That means a lot, or probably their main source of you know, support over the years, and that person is no longer. I mean, how do you really look at that person and say, listen, I know it's painful, but you have to let go for you to move forward? What would be your words to that person?
Well, in my field of, well, in my life, apart from being a marketer and a blogger, I'm also a choir director at my local church.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to drop a line before.
It's not a problem. So one of the positions that I've been placed in is somewhat of a mother. So when you say persons who have been molested and raped, it's amazing to know the number of young adults who've encountered this in life. And recently, I've had reason to say to one of them, face it. Face it. Because a huge part of our issue as women is that we just shut it away somewhere and we act as if, oh, it never happened. But then later in life, you see it coming up.
It presents.
It presents itself gloriously too, because it's been locked away and it's been gaining strength.
Yes.
You have to face it, and it's not something that happens overnight. As Kenisha said, it's not so easy. You don't get up and say, oh, I'm over it. I've been raped. Somebody took from me what I intended to hold on to. I was violated. But no, okay, one, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
Two, I acknowledge that I'm hurting, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit in this mess because it doesn't benefit me. Somebody's waiting to hear your story.
What does sitting in the mess do for someone? If they choose not to let go, what can that present like? You are on a trail. You can continue.
Okay. So,
As it relates to sitting in the mess, you're encountering a situation, right? And we all know that we have to get up and go.
Yeah.
Good. You can't beat yourself up for being in the situation. You have to find stuff to motivate yourself to move on. Because if you sit there, all of this emotional distress, anxiety, loneliness, all of those things will affect you, and you probably might not know how to express yourself when it approaches. But at least you can say, okay, let me find some form of comfort in what I really, in my purpose.
Right.
You understand me? You have to find a purpose in life, and you have to stick to it, and you have to ensure that, you know, you abide by certain structure. So you cannot just sit in the mess, you know?
yeah, because sitting in the mess, what it does really is you get so distressed, and stress works its way in the body. You said earlier that the hurt and the heart, actually a lot of these things, even though it's psychological, it later on in life, it manifests in the physical. So you end up, you end up with heart issues. You know, researchers have found that sometimes these psychological issues, you think about it so much, you're so stressed about the matter that it starts playing itself out in your physical body.
Right.
And one of the things that I've always encouraged people to do, and as Kenisha said, to find the purpose in it. Okay, I went through this. How can someone else benefit from what I went through? How can my story help someone else?
Yeah.
How can I be a better person? How can I be a better value to society? So, all right, you were raped. You may not want to say, you may not be at the place where you're ready to go out there and say, oh, I was raped, I was molested. Probably you're not at that point.
Right.
But then you can be a part of an organization where in a room you can say to somebody, listen, I went through this, I didn't die. I didn't allow it to consume me, and you can do it too. So it's finding strength in it and understanding that out of everything, I can't help it but go back to the Bible, because it says that all things, so it's not just the good things that work, you know, but it's all things that work according to the plan that God has for us. Because at times it's so easy to just get so distressed, and you have to shake yourself sometimes.
Right.
Because when you're hurt, listen, when you're hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing can take away from that. Listen, I cried for 3 days, and this was just my friend betraying me, and I cried.
Because we're talking about different types of hurt here.
And it
Most
was just, and I say
definitely.
just because sometimes it goes deeper to marriage. Like, how could he cheat? How could she cheat?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And we find it playing out in society, and it goes back to recognizing that you're hurt and you've been wronged. And sometimes you have to get up and heal from the things that nobody apologized for.
Most
That's it.
definitely.
You just dropped some gems
Yeah,
there.
it's so true.
What do you think about what Tricia was saying in regards to really letting go and moving forward?
As it relates to letting go and moving forward, as I mentioned earlier, find a purpose in life. Learn how to motivate yourself in whatever situation you're in.
What about when the person that is just flat out unable to? Isn't there now an importance? You said you are a choir director, but then you said you were actually helping someone that you kind of like big sister or so. So the importance of someone else, probably looking for support outside of your own self if you don't feel like you can move forward.
There are organizations out there that you can express your situation to. But oftentimes, after you express yourself throughout those medium, you still feel a form of loneliness, and you still feel like you're confined in somebody or people around you. But then you still have to deal with it yourself. You understand me? You have to motivate yourself. You have to dig deep. Find a peace of mind. It helps.
Mental space.
Yes. If you don't have that mental space, you will literally lose it.
Did you ever go through something that was very hurtful, and how did you recover from that?
I have been through a situation that I am recovered from it. I don't dwell on it because at the end of the day, I'm the person who is feeling. I'm the person who is hurt. The other individual may not have seen it as hurt, but I am hurt by the situation. I moved on. I know my character, know what I'm capable of doing. I take care of myself, and I just let go. Let go and let in. You don't need to dwell in a place where that is dark. You don't need to dwell there. There's so much to life than to dwell in the dark, anxiety, loneliness, as I mentioned before.
Right.
All of those dark places, you have to ensure that you motivate yourself enough to get out. Yeah.
Tricia, the topic of self-acceptance during this hurt, you mentioned, and you've actually said it a couple of times where you said, you just have to come to that place where you realize, listen, I have been hurt and this is my reality. However, I'm moving forward.
Yes.
What would you say to somebody who is experiencing that kind of pain and, letting them say, hey, it's about acceptance? What would you say to that person?
Face yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes to go into the dark spaces, because that's how I look at it. There are things that, even growing up as a child, experiences that I had, feelings that cause a sense of abandonment, that as an adult I had to say, okay, face yourself. Because what I see playing out in my relationships with persons, and I'm like, okay, so why is it that you're like this?
Yeah.
And there's nothing new under the sun. Somebody went through it.
Yes.
So many stories are told. The persons may have died, but the stories are written in books.
That's true.
And you read, and don't just read it as fictitious, but take on the character of the person. Acknowledge that, okay, this I can relate to this. This is what I'm experiencing. Okay, how am I going to move on from this? How does it benefit me to move away from this? So when it comes to self-acceptance, you have to take some time for you.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
Of course.
Recently, a young lady in my church, she had a traumatic experience, and I said to her, everybody's going to say to you, get over it, man, you're all right. But I said to her, say to yourself, listen, I'm not okay. It's okay to not be okay in this moment.
Right.
It's not okay to stay here. And I'm going to make a plan how to get out, but I'm going to acknowledge that I'm hurt.
Right.
I'm going to take the time to heal properly. I'm going to find someone.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Very
If
important.
it requires, one of the things that I did, I just went to the beach, I wrote, and we just ball.
Yeah.
And everybody
Let
knows
it
me.
out.
I didn't cry, we ball.
Yeah.
Like it was
Holla.
screaming, holla, on the top of my voice. No, I went to one of those deserted places on the beach. Like,
Yeah.
ain't nobody gonna hear you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't want anybody to say, what, you know, the
yeah,
all
don't
right.
stop me, just
don't,
let me let it
don't
go.
jump, you're here. You don't really need to. No, I'm not gonna jump, but at this moment, my heart is so full that I
have
want
to
to
just
let
let it
out.
out.
I want to scream. I want to just let it out
Yes.
and not have anybody tell me, shh, be quiet.
Yeah. I oftentimes cry too. I cry a lot. I cry for months. And then I get up with a fat face, you know, and still don't feel comforted, you know. But at least you cry and you get it off a bit. But
And
it is what it
won't
is.
happen and then
Yeah.
that's it. It won't happen overnight. But
No,
then,
it's a
girl,
process.
you experience that. It doesn't define you.
Each
It's not who
time
you are.
is a day closer
Yes.
to
Yes.
you getting
Letting go.
free.
Of course.
And you know what? The sooner you face it, the better it is for you.
Of course.
The sooner you face it, the better
Yeah,
it is. Because we've discussed it. The fact that a lot of these things that have happened in the past tend to shape your future.
Yes.
And you can choose whether you want to be shaped by
there.
pain
Yes.
or you know, look forward to your purpose.
I totally agree.
What I want us to give some tips to our viewers, some persons who might be experiencing. I have a friend who recently lost a very close person to her tragically. And so she just keeps saying, there has to be another way. There has to be another way that I'm going to see him again, or I'm going to, you know, experience this relationship again, and so forth. So you have that kind of loss pain. And he said, persons who may have gone through an intimate relationship gone bad, or some betrayal, someone who might have had molestation, so many different types of pain.
Yes.
As you said, friendships, things not working out right in the friendships, betrayal in that way. You know, how do we really, what are some actual tips that we can leave with our viewers this morning? Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Okay, so firstly, it's okay not to be okay. As mentioned before, I always use that quote. Self-care. That's two for me. That is mandatory to any one of us.
And isn't that
right?
mandatory even whether you're
Even
hurt or not?
Whether you're hurt or not, honey.
Exactly.
You have to
But
take
a lot
care of
more,
yourself.
a lot deeper, you know. Also, read a book. You know, try to read so your mind you can develop a different type of way how to approach your situation. It helps. You know, do stuff that you like. Know your dislikes and your likes. Try to go to the church, get proper motivation and such. So, yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, so first, own your hurt. Understand that you're hurt, acknowledge it. Take steps to address it. You said to read a book, and I would say, along with reading a book, write.
Yeah.
Write
Journal,
it out.
right.
Journal it out.
Write it out.
Even if you don't want to read it later, you can write it out and burn it.
Yes.
Write it out, rip it out.
And scatter,
And
however
scatter
you
it.
feel.
Find, along with self-care, find an outlet.
Yes.
I sing a lot. I listen to a lot of music. So,
Me too, girl.
yeah. So
Same.
you just find me, I'll just shut away and I'll just listen to the things that appeal to me. And stay away from the dark spaces, the
Most
negative
definitely.
thoughts.
And the dark people.
And the dark people, the persons who will say, oh, but I have to do, so you said your friend lost somebody tragically. Oh, but I have to defend that. That's why our society is the way
That is
it
why, because we don't
You
know how
know,
to
Yeah.
let
we
it
don't
go.
know how to.
And it's easier
and
said than done,
it's
but
easier
it's
said than done.
really, I guess, identifying what's important to you
Yes,
as a person.
definitely.
And unforgiveness is like you taking the poison and expecting someone else to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're over here, like one of the situations that I experienced, I lost somebody very close to me in 2003. And that's, you see how far ago that was. And it was so tragic.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did, I stopped and I said, boy, Ronnie did want to see me like this. He wouldn't have wanted to see me in this space. He would have wanted me to thrive. So I sought the light in the memories, because there are good
Agreed.
memories. And while in the grieving process, I've seen a friend of mine lost her brother recently. And when her brother was shot, you know, she cried, she wailed. And one day she got up at his funeral, she stood reading his eulogy, and with tears streaming down her face, she said, oh God, he wouldn't want to see me crying. Okay, bro, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said he wouldn't want to see me crying. So it's like getting up and healing from something like that. It's not easy, and the memories will come and you will
They
cry
will.
sometimes.
They will.
Sometimes it's going to hit you really hard.
So
Something will
true.
just come along and be like, oh, we would be doing this together. But guess what? You're not here. I'm still going to do it. I'm not going to get morbid. I'm not going to get sad. And even if I cry a little bit,
Yes.
I'm still going to do it. Don't rush your healing and take small
your
steps.
healing.
Don't
Small
rush your
steps.
healing.
Yeah.
Because nothing that is rushed, it doesn't often end well. The elders used to say, haste make waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
So you take your time to heal. You don't want that. You don't want, oh, it looks like it's healed. And a little more from this, you stretch
start-
yourself.
yeah.
So I was in love and I got divorced. Let's jump into a relationship
Correct.
tomorrow and get married again
Bonding,
because
yeah.
we want to get married.
Yes, yes.
No. Then later on, he does something that your ex did or she does something that your ex did.
And it's
Bam!
Yeah.
Bam! That wound is now open because
Right.
you weren't healed,
Healed properly, yeah.
Healed properly. Acknowledge your hurt. Take steps to get past it and move at your own pace. And go to the church. The church still has its place in society. Find a good Bible-believing church. Read the Bible for itself. David hurt. The Bible said that, David and Bathsheba, them little thing. Right. Bathsheba lost a child. The Bible said he cried.
Yeah.
Then he got up, he ate, and he went on. He said, blessed be God forever.
Right, right.
Because even in the pain, listen, something is going to be birthed from this later. And later on, he had the successor. He had King Solomon.
Right.
Yeah.
So even when you get healed, and trust me, when you get healed and you move on and you recover,
Your posture changes.
your
You're
posture-
ready for the world.
Your
Yeah.
posture
Like, come on,
changes.
problem.
Yeah,
Your
fearless.
posture
Yeah,
changes,
you are.
and you get stronger from it. And something good, it will come in the end.
Yes.
All right, well, words from our
fearless.
ladies here this morning. Of course, where do we continue to follow your work as a blogger? Where can we follow you on social media?
Okay, so I'm on YouTube, Trissy Says. I'm on
How do you spell that?
TRISSYSAYS.
Okay.
That's me on YouTube.
Yes.
And on Facebook, it's Dear Future Husband.
Oh, I love it, yes.
Dear Future Husband, and on Instagram, it's Dear Future Husband _1.
I love that name.
Yes,
You
it
go,
sounds
girl.
nice, right?
You're interneting it into being.
As single women, we face a lot of hurt. And when we are believing and we're hoping to find the right spouse, one of the things that nobody tells us is to get healed from your past
And
Yes,
be prepared.
and prepare yourself.
For the
Like,
unexpected.
come on,
You attract what you give as
yeah,
well. So
because
you have to
come
be in a
on
good
now,
place.
you want the ideal man, but are
You
you
have to
the
be ideal woman. Yes, yes. I mean, our
so
men,
listen,
men
that's a whole different conversation.
We're gonna have another call. Yes.
Listen,
Are
I'm here
we?
for
Are
it.
you the right woman? And then
Yes,
where do we
that's
follow
true.
your?
Well, it's at Kendall Impressions or The Face Impressions.
Or the face
Yes,
impressions
on
for the modeling
Instagram.
agency.
Yes.
All right, ladies, it was a really, really, really good conversation. Thank you this
My
morning.
pleasure.
Pleasure
Thank you,
being
Kenisha
here.
Mitchell, CEO of Face Impressions Modeling Agency, and Tricia Nibs, blogger and marketer, professional, for joining us this morning. Thanks. That was our Women's World discussion on this Thursday morning.